What is up, everybody? It's Animac here for AnimeUproar, and today I will be breaking down the most recent events and developments in the Boku no Hero story, including the absolute monster that is the new Shigaraki, the imminent danger that Bakugo and Deku find themselves in, and the desperate attempt by the heroes to stop what could be the biggest disaster in Boku no Hero history. There is a lot to talk about. The stakes are higher than they have ever been, so let's get into it. If you enjoyed the Boku no Hero content on this channel and you'd like us to keep it going, please leave a like to let me know. It really does help. And if you happen to be new to the channel or you just haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell to turn on all notifications. If you don't go through the trouble of clicking the bell and then selecting the option that says all, you're gonna miss a lot of our videos even if you're subscribed. It's just how YouTube works. You can also hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar. Finally, this video will of course contain Boku no Hero manga spoilers. We are talking about the very latest events in the story, so please proceed with caution. You have been warned. The latest chapter starts off with the confirmation that Shigaraki has been able to locate Deku using the quirk Search, which was stolen from Ragdoll. It appears that Ragdoll's quirk had registered One For All's data before her quirk was stolen by All For One. And so now Shigaraki is able to pinpoint the exact location and weak points of Deku, the current user of One For All. As Shigaraki is zeroing in on Deku, Endeavor asks what on earth Deku is saying. Endeavor doesn't know why Shigaraki would be targeting Deku out of all the people here, but Deku just says that he'll explain later. Unlike Deku and Bakugo, Endeavor doesn't know the truth about One For All and its origins, so it makes sense that he wouldn't understand what makes Deku so special. It must seem extremely strange to Endeavor that Shigaraki would ignore him, the #1 pro hero, in order to hunt down a first-year pro hero high school student. As Shigaraki flops down to the ground from his massive jump, Endeavor sees an opening and attacks. For a moment, it looks like Shigaraki suffered serious damage as a result of Endeavor's attack, but to Endeavor's great surprise, Shigaraki just keeps moving. He jumps up again and takes off, and Endeavor simply can't keep up. Endeavor uses their wireless communication system to warn Deku that Shigaraki is headed southwest, and Deku responds by saying that he will do his best to buy time for everyone to evacuate by trying to lure Shigaraki away from the civilians. Endeavor then uses the same communication device to warn everyone else that Shigaraki has changed course and is now headed southwest. And he also warns everyone that Shigaraki now possesses super regeneration and that he is completely different from the Shigaraki that they faced before. By monitoring Shigaraki's movements and sudden change of course, Endeavor concludes that Deku might be right. Shigaraki seems to be heading straight for our boy Midoriya. However, as we know from the previous chapter, Deku is not alone. As Deku tries to get as far away as possible from the evacuation zone, he is being followed by Bakugo. Knowing how dangerous Shigaraki has become, Deku asks Bakugo why he is tagging along, but this sets Bakugo off. Bakugo can't believe that Deku would accuse him of just tagging along, as if Deku was the protagonist and Bakugo was just a support character. And I thought that this moment was both meta and hilarious at the same time. Even though Deku is technically the protagonist of Boku no Hero, you just know that in his own mind, Bakugo is the true protagonist. And so of course, Bakugo refuses to let Deku have all the attention and all the glory. After all, Bakugo still has a score to settle with Shigaraki. Bakugo still feels bad about the Kamino incident because his kidnapping by the villains is what set off that entire chain of events. A chain of events that ultimately led to All Might's retirement. Bakugo still blames himself for this, and he plans to redeem himself right here and now. Bakugo has a plan to take down Shigaraki while using One For All as bait. Since Shigaraki is completely focused on One For All, so much so that he is completely ignoring even the #1 pro hero, Bakugo thinks that he can use this to his advantage and take Shigaraki down while he is distracted by his obsession for One For All. Nevertheless, I don't think that Bakugo realizes just how insanely overpowered this new Shigaraki is. Bakugo is extremely confident, perhaps overly confident, and that could come back to haunt him. Taking on this new Shigaraki is a massive risk, Clearly, even the #1 pro hero was unable to stop Shigaraki or contain him in any way. And yet, Bakugo claims to have a plan that can stop him. Whatever that plan may be, it will have to be absolutely amazing, and it will have to be completely unexpected by Shigaraki himself. I definitely understand Bakugo's motivation. I can see where he's coming from. He is a strong and powerful guy who has a score to settle with Shigaraki, and he is also the guy who has always been able to keep up with Deku. No matter how much stronger Deku became, and no matter how quickly he improved after inheriting One for All, Bakugo has also been training extra hard in order to keep up with Deku. And he has been pretty successful so far. So Bakugo believes that he can keep that streak going. He can surpass his limits, just like Deku, and take his strength and ability to the next level. But even if Bakugo can surpass his limits and reach the next level of power, is that enough to defeat Shigaraki in his current insanely overpowered state? As much as I understand where Bakugo is coming from, I don't think he stands a chance against the new Shigaraki. The only way that any of them could stand a chance against Shigaraki now is if they are able to use some absolutely incredible teamwork. Teamwork that involves multiple overpowered heroes and hero students all working together and using their various unique quirks to their advantage. But while Deku and Bakugo are trying to lure Shigaraki away from the evacuation zone, Shigaraki is quickly gaining full mastery of All for One. He easily combines two different quirks in order to jam the hero's electronic communication system. And as Shigaraki is effectively combining quirks that All for One had stolen, Deku has the same feeling that he felt back in Kamino when he first encountered All for One himself. This new Shigaraki is already at that level, and perhaps even stronger, and this is a terrifying thought. As overpowered as All for One was during the Kamino incident, he was also old and injured. But Shigaraki is something else altogether, and Ujiko certainly believed that Shigaraki has surpassed All for One's potential, so that is something that we have to keep in mind. As Shigaraki prepares to acquire One for All and destroy Deku, we see images of Deku's and Bakugo's faces beginning to decay. In these images, it looks like both Deku and Bakugo are literally about to die. And you can just imagine how freaked out people were when they first saw the leaks of this chapter. Seeing these images without context could absolutely make you think that Bakugo and Deku are goners. Here, it looks like they are already in the process of being decayed, a process that could be irreversible. But in reality, before Shigaraki actually reaches Deku and Bakugo, they are rescued by Gran Torino. The extremely fast Gran Torino grabs them and rushes them out of Shigaraki's path, and then he tells them that they just can't fight this new Shigaraki alone. Gran Torino warns them that Shigaraki's decay will destroy anything it touches, and even just brushing up against some of the falling debris will cause decay to spread all over their bodies. Gran Torino was able to arrive just in time because he heard that One for All was mentioned, and he instantly knew that this would be Shigaraki's next target. But he tells Deku and Bakugo straight up that in their current state, they cannot even hope to defeat Shigaraki. Even Deku, our protagonist, the inheritor of One for All and someone who has improved immensely over the course of the series, is still no match for the new Shigaraki. However, Gran Torino assures the two hero students that there are heroes still standing and Shigaraki cannot beat everyone. Just as I was saying earlier on in the video, Deku and Bakugo are not enough to defeat Shigaraki. Even the #1 pro hero just isn't enough on his own. But if a bunch of these overpowered heroes and hero students work together, if they can strategically combine their various quirks and other abilities, then they might stand a chance, especially if Shigaraki is distracted by his obsession for acquiring One for All. In that moment, Ryukyu, in her dragon form, jumps out at Shigaraki and slashes at him with one of her arms. Shigaraki places his hand on Ryukyu's giant dragon arm in order to decay it, but he appears to have failed. Then, up on a hill and in the distance, we see our boy Eraserhead. It appears that Ryukyu was saved from destruction because Eraserhead was using his quirk to block Shigaraki from using his own quirks. As Shigaraki fails to the ground as a result of Ryukyu's blow, Eraserhead vows to avenge Crust and his friend Oboro, and he also tells Shigaraki not to mess with his students. This is such a great moment for our boy Aizawa. This dude, who on normal days is just like a sleepy and unkempt high school teacher, is in this very moment a fierce and unflinching pro hero who is preparing to defend his students at all costs. And as badass as Eraserhead looks in this moment, and he definitely looks totally badass, the final panel of the chapter shows Shigaraki's face, and Shigaraki does not appear to be worried by this turn of events. Man, a lot has happened in this one chapter, and a lot more is about to happen in the coming chapters. We now know for sure that despite being completely new to using All for One, Shigaraki appears to have an innate instinct for using all of these different quirks in just the right way. His ability to combine two separate quirks in order to jam the hero's communications proves that he is already an expert at using All for One. There is no learning curve for Shigaraki. He seems to have instantly mastered all of All for One's abilities, and that is really bad news for the heroes. The fact that Shigaraki was able to withstand Endeavor's attacks without breaking a sweat, and the fact that Endeavor was unable to impede Shigaraki's progress towards Deku is also very bad news for the heroes. Gran Torino clearly realized the gravity of the situation because he rushed over to Deku and Bakugo, he moved them out of Shigaraki's path, and he warned them that even though they have protagonist powers, even they cannot hope to defeat the new Shigaraki. But the somewhat good news for the heroes is the fact that a bunch of them managed to survive the destruction at the hospital, including Endeavor, Ryukyu, Gran Torino, and of course Eraserhead. Our bunny queen Miruko survived as well, but unfortunately she is no longer in fighting shape. Nonetheless, the fact that a bunch of strong heroes did survive means that they can now all work together and combine their quirks in an attempt to defeat Shigaraki. The fact that Eraserhead survived is especially important. His unique ability to block the effects of quirks could be the only thing that saves the heroes from Shigaraki's incredible power. A power that now includes the ability to use who knows how many overpowered quirks at the same time. But even though the heroes have been able to regroup, we can't forget that their time is limited. As we know, Shigaraki is not the only threat to the heroes, even though he is the most shockingly overpowered one. Other strong villains, including Gigantomachia, Dabi, and Toga, are on their way to the battlefield. So if the heroes cannot defeat Shigaraki quickly, they are going to have a lot more on their plate very soon. So not only do the heroes and hero students have to find a way to stop the completely broken awakened Shigaraki, but they have to do it soon, very soon. I am absolutely stoked to see how this incredible arc is unfolding. And I am extremely impressed by how Horikoshi has been able to structure this arc and how everything is now coming together in one epic uber showdown. A showdown between the strongest heroes and hero students and the strongest villains. Please let me know what you guys think. Do you believe that the heroes and hero students can come up with some sort of brilliant team strategy to neutralize and defeat Shigaraki? However, I will say that if you think that Eraserhead is the silver bullet and that he can solve all of the heroes' problems, I wouldn't be so sure. As soon as Shigaraki figures out what's going on, he can find a way to escape Eraserhead's line of sight, just like the female Nomu did back at the hospital. And as soon as he does that, he'll be able to use his quirk again. And since Eraserhead is currently located pretty far away from Shigaraki, it shouldn't be too hard for Shigaraki to hide behind something and escape Eraserhead's gaze. So, will the heroes get the job done before Gigantomachia, Dabi, and the others arrive? And if they don't get the job done, if they can't defeat Shigaraki, what do you think will happen? Do the heroes even stand a chance against all of these overpowered villains? Or are the heroes finally heading for a decisive defeat? Such a high-profile defeat for the heroes would completely destabilize the entire hero society. Everyone would panic and absolute chaos would ensue. If you think the Kamino incident was bad, don't forget that that was a battle that the heroes ultimately won. If the heroes actually lose here, if the number one pro hero loses, the confidence that the general population has in the heroes will shatter. Trust in the hero society would collapse, and things would never be the same again, and that is exactly what the villains want. Finally, what was the deal with those images of Deku and Bakugo being decayed? Was that like a premonition? Was it Shigaraki using some sort of quirk that projects a vision of their own deaths onto his opponents? Or was it something else altogether? Let me know what you think down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, please leave a like to let me know. It really does help. And if you happen to be new to AnimeUproar or you just haven't subscribed yet, I ask you to please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell to turn on all notifications. Remember that you really have to go through the trouble of clicking that bell and then selecting the option that says all. It's annoying, I know, but if you don't do that, you're gonna miss a lot of our videos even if you are subscribed. It's just how YouTube works. Feel free to hit me up on Twitter and Instagram at AnimeUproar. I want to give a big thank you to all of our AnimeUproar patrons for making videos like this one possible. A very special thank you to Efren A, a disciple of Lord Twigo himself. And I can't forget all of our The One tier patrons, the ones who rise above all other clans, including Ingrata, Alolanatum, The World, Steelers, Acquired Respect, Pate Heffa, Jonathan King, Desi D, Brandon Aviles, Papa Smurf, The School Bus, King Riser, Emperor Otaku, Richie Martinez, and Thomas Jones. And of course, another big thank you to all of our Pro Hero tier patrons, including the one and only Gilgamesh, Nothing But a Fan, Jason Wilson, King Zeldris, Anatoly Kazatsky, Angel Cruz, Cricket XP, Joe Stanton, Very Gucci, Alicia Octor, Jessica K. LaFond, Hinokami and Water, Bonnie Parks, Zodiar12, Rathuin Deora, Emperor, Cynical, Kraken, Fullgas77, and Deadly Saint. If you enjoy our videos and you feel that they provide value for you, consider supporting us on Patreon. Even a single dollar will give you access to our patron-exclusive Discord, and your name will appear in our videos along with these amazing people. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, see ya, Space Cowboys!